Welcome to I Think I Love You, where we keep it real with your past, current, and future relationships. With your host, Loverboy Los.
First podcast with Z over here and Carlos. You want to introduce yourself, Z?
Yeah, absolutely. My name is Zeahlot. I'm a marriage and family therapist intern. I work with couples, families, children individually for psychotherapy.
I'm amazed I got a guest like that over here on my first podcast, like straight out the gate, like boom. Well, just to give you a little background info, I'm Carlos Jimenez. I have no credentials like Z over has. She just found me in the salsa class and decided to do this podcast with me, so I'm greatly appreciative of that.
Absolutely.
And with her, I actually opened up a little bit about my romance life, barely experienced in my 25 years of living life. Went through a hard breakup. Her story is I learned a lot through that breakup, and Z was over here. And she actually recommended a book to me, and I want you guys to know about this book. What was that book you told me about, Z?
Attached.
Why did you recommend that book to me, and why did you think I needed it in my life?
Well, first of all, I recommended it. I cannot legally give you advice. Trying to look up for a lawsuit here. But I did recommend the book to you, Attached, because it's just an amazing understanding of why we're attracted to another person. The style we have, the way we've been raised, our mom, our dad, our caretaker, whoever took care of us, and how we actually bonded with them, whether or not we did.
And why do you think that's so important for people to know that in terms of building a relationship with someone as well as, because in my experience, I was always thinking, oh, you fall in love with someone and then, that's it. Like, you don't have to really put in the work and effort and stuff. And when I was reading this book, they talk about how people have different attachment styles, and I always thought the needy people were always something was wrong with them. Like, why do you have to be so needy? Like, why do I have to call my girlfriend all the time and all that? So I fell victim in that trap. So I guess my question is more of like, why should we pay attention to these styles?
To save yourself from heartache and pain more than anything. We all fall victim to it, right? So in my 30 years of life, I've also come across that where like, why am I catching feelings for this person when they don't treat me right? Or why do I like this person? But in reality, what the book is saying and many other theories in psychology or counseling, that we are attracted to a mix of our caretakers. So whether it was a mom and dad, or mom, dad, grandma, mom, you're attracted to both those personalities. And they're good and they're bad. So you're getting a mix of all of that. And we have no idea. It's in our unconscious.
I totally gotta agree with you on that, because growing up as a kid, like, I'll see how my dad would treat my mom and all that stuff. So in a way, I kind of treated my girlfriend at the time kind of like my dad. Like, I grew up, my dad treated my mom. He would bicker a lot with her, and I did the same thing with my ex. But I thought, like, this is love. This is like, because my parents never separated it. And then where I saw is my parents, like, stayed with each other through thick and thin. So I guess knowing that, it would have changed my perspective on how I was treating my ex at the time. Yeah, and then I guess another thing is too, like, what do you think people do when they break up? Because I was reading a lot about when people go through breakups, it's the same experience as when they experience grief or the loss of a loved one. So can you give me a little more background info on that?
Absolutely. That's a great example, actually, of what it's like when you have a breakup. It's grief. Not only that, I actually compare it to substance abuse. So if somebody is addicted to something and you get off of it, whether it be like heroin, marijuana, cocaine, anything, right? Alcohol, cigarettes. The same withdrawals your body goes through in your mind with that substance is the same kind of withdrawals your body be feeling when that person is gone, and your mind. Yeah. What speaks to you about that?
I totally gotta agree with you on that, because I remember the first night I had to go to sleep with the breakup. I was just crying in my sleep, and that whole week it felt so weird because I didn't feel like myself. I did feel like a drug addict because I had my withdrawals. I wasn't eating right. I was exercising that week too, but it was weird because I wasn't as hungry as I would have been. And it was just getting adjusted to life now again, all over, being single. And I read a lot about these things, and It said, guys, I found this interesting. I envy girls for this. And it said, women are more likely to get over the breakup faster than men are. When I read that, I was like, whoa, like, don't you think, like, dang. Because we got this stereotypical thing going on, like crying in bed or like eating that ice cream. But nah, it's really, guys do that stuff too. And it's like why do you think people don't talk about that stuff?
I'm really curious to know about your comment you made that it's usually the girl that's been cried or just, really letting herself go after a breakup. What makes you feel that way?
Well, it's not really me. I use that as an example of how our society kind of stereotypicalizes that. Because, we see it in media, we see it in movies, we hear it all the time on songs and all that. The discrepancy that they try to use that this is what we're raised on, but most likely from the studies and all that, that's not really true. Girls are really the ones that move on quicker than the men do. And I can vouch for that because it's been a year and I was getting over it. Mm-hmm. So being over there is being stereotypical of eating that ice cream or going to their girlfriends and crying about their ex. I don't think that's really a justified point that we're raised on to believing from what we see on TV. But I want to know, why isn't anyone talking about the guys who have time or need more time about that stuff?
I think what comes up is just stereotypically the society. Men aren't able to express their feelings as openly as women because, in society we have shamed men. They can't cry, they can't be open about how they've been feeling because otherwise they're soft. They're a pussy. They're being a little girl. Mm-hmm. So they're either going to get it from their friends, they're going to get it from their male counterparts, like, bro, just suck it up, like, you'll be fine. They are not given the same permission that women are to express how they feel and be accepted with that. Mm-hmm. Furthermore, I feel that it really depends where the person's at, to be honest. So when someone says, like, oh, it only took me a year or it took me 6 months to get over this person, really I'm thinking, how long did the relationship actually last? So some people have said, I don't know, you could disagree or agree with this, but it takes you half the time you were actually together. Mm-hmm. So from the start of the relationship, building, and then your actual time together. So if you were together 6 years, it's actually going to take you about 3 years to get over the relationship. Half the time you were together. Now, like I said, this is not something that I came up with. This is just what research has shown in the past.
Mm-hmm. I guess I'm kind of a different case then. It took almost more than the time we're together. But I think it's because, kind of going back to the styles, I had a secure/anxious style. And then when I lost that security with her, I felt like I needed something or someone to make me happy again. And maybe that's the case. Maybe because I haven't found someone that made me feel that way, it's taking me longer. Like, what do you think? Do you think that's true, or do you think could be other factors in between that?
Well, I think everything, influences the person, but more so, I think it's really important for you to go over what it is you took from the book, because those that are listening might not know what the attachment is or even the styles. So I'm just curious to know what you picked up from the book.
Well, in the book, you already know, but for the people that haven't read it, so there's 3 different attachment styles that the book goes over, but I believe there's more. Isn't there 11 or 12, something like that?
Sure, there's more, but there's primarily 3.
There's primarily 3. And in the book, it calls about secure style, anxious style, and then the avoidance style. So with the secure style, basically, I love this example in the book that they showed where a kid gets dropped off, maybe in school by her mom or whichever parent. And then once that parent leaves, that child's okay with it. They go around, they play with their toys because they know their parent's going to come back for them. So basically, in the relationship, is that person that's secure doesn't always have to assume, oh, my girlfriend's not texting me. She hates me or something, or she's not texting on a day that we have a date. She might want to flake. People that have a secure relationship they don't assume. They know that, hey, she's probably busy. She's going to get back to me later. Hey, she's probably doing this. So they have that sense of security where they don't make assumptions. They're perfectly happy, I guess, with how the relationship is. Mm-hmm. And then with the anxious style, this is where the book calls about like, and this really changed my eyes on it, how needy people aren't always have to be shown in a negative way, because I found that myself that when I do love someone or I'm in a relationship with someone I really care about, I kind of become like I need more of them. I want to text them more of the time. I want to talk to them more of the time. And with this anxious style, going back to the example of the kid getting dropped off at school, once that parent leaves after they set them up at school, that's when they start crying or they want their mom back or dad. And that's kind of how it is when they get in a relationship, because they need that person kind of in order to go through the challenges of the relationship, or go through, if they're going through a tough time, they might need their partner more than say a secure or avoidant people might want their partner. The book talks about how that's perfectly fine, and it can even be an advantage in some of the situations where people that rely on a partner like that might be able to go through the challenges, and then the partner might learn something with that. So for example, they used this couple on Amazing Race, and this girl wanted her boyfriend to hold her hand to go through this bungee jump, and then the whole time the boyfriend was like, no, you don't need that, like, come on, you gotta be tough, you gotta be doing this. And the girl felt bad after, because she felt like she was asking too much of her boyfriend to just hold her hand while she did that. And she felt like she wasn't, as tough as she should have been. But the book goes back and saying that, hey, if her boyfriend really just held her hand, she would have been perfectly fine. And her boyfriend should know that, because, and it goes back to I might be going off topic, but it goes back to, if you know your partner's attachment style, that's when you can really benefit from a relationship the most and work through all the progress. And then, so anxious people are more so, they want their partner more, but when the partner does deliver that, they can be one of the best partners in the relationship, because they know how to take care of their partner. They're always looking out for them. I think that's what I really liked about my ex, because I felt that way about her, and I felt I'll probably give her the same thing. And now the third attachment style is the avoidant one. With the kindergarten or kid getting dropped off at school, is when the kid gets dropped off and the parents leave, now it's like more so they're kind of the cool kid. They don't really care, or they don't really think about their parents, like, whatever, like, I'm going to play with these toys. And now, kind of with not saying avoidant people can't be loving, they just have a different way of showing it. When they get into relationships, they go and they don't really text back as often, they're kind of short, or they kind of want their independence more, I would say so. That's what they value, and they value a relationship, but I think they value more than independence, correct?
Mm-hmm. I think the most important thing for people to know, or just somebody in a relationship trying to look for a relationship, is knowing that not everybody has the same style. And if you have somebody that has a different style than you need to know how to work with that. Because more than likely, if you don't know what you have, you don't know where you're going. So it's important to know, okay, is my partner, they're not needy, they just really need that hand holding, right? It's very interesting, specifically the style of avoidance. Because avoidance naturally comes from childhood, and just in my personal perspective, that it's from your needs not being met. So a lot of avoidant will be from parents that were working too much, didn't have enough attention for the child. So the child learned to self-soothe. They learn to just really be their own guidance, be their own warmth, be their own hug that they really just needed, right? So when you have an avoidant person in a relationship, and you have that needy, clingy, insecure person, it's like oil and water. It's not going to go well, because you're not both people are not acknowledging, wait a minute, what's happening here, right? So the needy person is highly aware of what it is they're missing. They're trying to get that all the time. And the avoidant person, whether or not they're aware they have that style, they're going to continue pushing away. So unless they're both acknowledging it and willing to work on it, it will go nowhere. It will go nowhere, and quick.
Oh, man. And the book even talks about, like, reasons why anxious people should avoid the people with that attachment style. Yeah, avoid the avoidant people. There you go. Why do you think they shouldn't match up? Saying there's probably some couples that do, but they might not last as long. But what do you see the issues with that?
You know, it's really interesting you asked that. I think it's similar to when people say, like, well, a Cancer shouldn't be dating a Capricorn.
Yeah.
Or if you're a Pisces, you know, don't date a Gemini. I think there's some truth to everything. And I think with most couples, it's really just knowing where you at, where you want to be, and what it is you need. A lot of people think of the wants versus the needs. So when I say that, I go back to the theme of wants usually are on the list of things you can buy monetarily. But needs are more so things you cannot buy with money. Things that no matter how much, you know, wealth you throw at it, you're not going to get anywhere. Need things are basic needs. The need to be loved, the need to belong, the need to just know, like, are they feeling me for me? Like the real person, right? That's all we are truly looking for in a partnership. So if you have two different styles of attachment, it's important just to know, like, okay, what it is they're needing in this moment in time, right? So if you're aware of it and you're willing to work on it, things such as like therapy or couples retreats or just, you know, talking to other people that can be a mentor to you. One of the biggest things I have found that's very helpful is go to people who actually have what you want. So I'm not going to go to a single girlfriend and be like, hey girl, you know, how do you find yourself a man? I'm going to go to my girl that's been married 5-7 years with her husband. And I'm going to ask her, like, hey, how have you kept this marriage going? Obviously it's not rainbows and butterflies, but they know how to do it. So go to the people you know that can help you.
Exactly. I gotta agree with that. I mean, before this breakup that I had, I never really thought about like asking for advice on relationships, you know, because it goes back to me being kind of naive about it. Like, oh, you just feel it. I didn't think of it as kind of a, I guess maybe this is the wrong word to use, but maybe like a skill to have. Because I always thought it doesn't matter how many people you date. Once you find that right one, that's it. You're golden. But I feel like maybe if I did have more relationships in the past, I would have done things a little bit different. Like, do you think that's true, or do you think people should continue to work on their relationships?
You know, it's something like quality versus quantity, right? So it's different for everybody. So I actually have a close friend of mine that he's definitely quantity. He's a lot more about, let's see how many girls I can date and see what are the 31 flavors, right? And he's definitely come, like, hit against the wall and been like, what is wrong? What is happening? Is it me?
Yeah.
Is it them? So I think what he's shared with me and what he's discovered is that he really wants to do quality now. He doesn't want to do quantity, so he stopped dating so many girls, and now it's really just, is this girl hitting the main points that I need? Is she considerate? Is she honest? Is she humorous? Is she funny? Can she hold it down? So I think what matters is if you do find quality, knowing that, acknowledging it, and really working at it. I personally think that you can find the most amazing person, your soulmate, your twin flame, whatever it is you want to call it, your peanut butter to your jelly. But if you don't but if you don't work at the relationship, it's not going to last. You need water to help it grow. Yeah.
Just like a plant. I love that line. See, this is why I bring her on, man. She knows her stuff. It's about chemistry, not anatomy. Getting that from the Big Sean line. And yeah, I gotta agree, because growing up, back in high school, man, I guess in my younger years, I can relate to your friend, because I was always about, like, oh, let me see how many girls I can talk to in this week. Or like, oh, let me go on MySpace and do all that stuff. I guess the age we're living in, too, that's kind of, I feel like that's more encouraged right now, because of all the dating apps. I don't know how it's going to be for the, like, slowing down with all these apps, and are we going to be slowing down with all the, you know, fling? Because if you think about it, you go on Tinder, you just, like, look at a girl's face, and that's it. That's all you do. Like, you swipe left or right on the face. And I don't know if that's really, like, something that we should be doing, you know, because that doesn't really give you any detail on that person, you know. I just want to get your take on the age that we're living in as single, you know, 20-somethings, just trying to get around the dating world with all these apps, you know, just encouraging, like, one-night stands and all that stuff.
You know, I think it goes further just from, like, the 20s or the mid-20s. I think this is anyone that's just in the dating pool in general. Just because there's so many apps that are tailored to whatever age range you're looking for. personally, I think that it could either help you or hurt you. I've known, relationships, marriages that have started on online dating sites.
Mm-hmm.
They've been happily married for, 7-10 years. I also know people that have met online, and it's been terrifying. It's been terrifying, and it's been hurtful because in their words, they've been lied to. They've been, catfished. They have no idea what it is they're getting. But really, this is what I think. I think that if you are the person and you are really working on yourself and you come correct, you will find someone that's correct. Because if you don't come correct, you shouldn't come at all.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have the right intentions, if you are the right person, you will find your match. We are like magnets, people. The law of attraction, right? We attract what we are.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're a liar, more than likely you're going to attract a person that's not going to be honest with you. It's not always, but for the most part, I have found that to be true. So if I'm into certain things, or if I'm into just spending time with my family, I have found other people that I'm interested in that have the same hobbies or have the same interest.
Yeah, and wow, I can definitely relate to that, because they say, what's that? Birds like a feather.
Flock together.
Birds of a feather flock together. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I brought you on to. Finish these lines. No, but yeah, that's totally true, because, I never thought of it like that before until, all this breakup stuff happened to me, and just seeing, the people you do attract, whoa, you kind of want to look at your circle sometimes, be like, does this reflect what I want to do? And then the girls too, man, it's crazy. The girls I used to be attracted to were kind of girls that I should be talking to, or girls I don't always want to bring around my mom per se.
Right.
And it's I remember this one time I just moved out here in Northridge, and I met this girl that basically I bought her a drink, and then she tried taking the change away because that was her hustle. She would get guys to buy her drink and then get the change. And then I still talked to that girl 2 weeks later and all that. We even went on a couple of dates and stuff. But that was my thing. I was just kind of attracted to the hood type girls, you would say. But when did you come to that realization that what you want to do is attract, or how you attract the people that you most kind of reflects on you?
I think it hit me when I was reading a book, and it was one of the most amazing books I have ever read thus far on men and relationships and women and just how it works, the different dynamics. And it's called The Re-Education of the Female by Dante Moore. I absolutely love this book. And the realization I came to is that men really are forward. They know what they want, they know what they're going with it, and they're naturally hunters. So I started realizing, okay, if I'm aware of what I want, more than likely it'll either match up or it won't with the other person, right? I'm also really big on intuition. I've over the years, I've grown my intuition, and I think it speaks louder than anything else. Sometimes the eyes or the body or just our anatomy can lie to us. But to me, my intuition will never lie. Even my mind sometimes plays tricks on me. But if I'm not feeling it, I'm not feeling it. And if something inside me tells me, Z, this is not it, I don't go with it. I don't. I try and honor that spirit inside me.
Wow. You know what you want, and you know what you're looking for now. And then with me, I guess I was just looking for someone that was attractive. I wasn't looking for those qualities and all that you were going with. And then knowing what you know now, what would you say to your 20-year-old self?
To my 20-year-old self, I think going back to the same thing, hey, when your spirit and your intuition is screaming, kicking at the top of its lung, please let this go.
Yeah.
Let this person go. This is not good for you to listen to it. Mm-hmm. I definitely think the biggest lesson I learned in my 20s was not to hang on to things that are not meant for me. The most gracious thing I can do for them and myself is to let something go that is not mine. If it's not mine, I shouldn't hold on to it. Because when you do, then you become resentful, or the other person's resentful, and then you have people stepping out of the relationship, just causing even more conflict and more hurt.
It's crazy, when you're in love with someone and it's no, you don't want to let them go, but I guess that's, in a way, that's still showing love, because that's not real if you try to make it work when obviously someone wants to move on. And that, to me is very wise, and it took me a long time to realize that too. Like, why do you want someone?
It doesn't want you.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
exactly. Oh, you gotta finish it for me. You
Yeah.
know, that was like the hardest question for me. Is like, you just gotta let it go. You can't even. And what do you think about? Let me go off this. What do you think about like being friends with your ex too? Do you think that's like something that can happen? Because I don't know. I seen it with people who are friends with their ex, and I'm like, damn, I kind of want to do that, but I haven't had the opportunity to do that. What do you think about that, Z?
That's a great question. I actually have debated this so many times in my own life. And I think the most decent answer I have been able to give myself is one day strolling through the gram, right? And I come across this quote and it just hit me like a ton of bricks. And it said, two lovers that remain friends were either never in love or still are. We're never in love or still are. And that hit me so hard because I thought to myself, I have past relationships myself personally, and I've had both experiences where I think to myself, we were never in love, and then I have other experiences where I think, wow, I could never be friends with them because there will always be that spark, that chemistry that we've had, and that just can't be shared as friends because then they truly aren't friends. I also have a really big idea that if you share yourself with someone intimately, if you sleep with them or if you have that intimate bond with them, you can never really be friends again. You've kind of crossed that line there, and it's really important to have healthy boundaries. My biggest thing is if, down the road you get into another serious relationship, marriage even, and then it's that awkward moment, with your lifetime partner of like, hey, this is my friend, and once upon a time, like, we were something. I don't think that's respecting your new lifetime partner or your long-term partner. It's about respect and really setting those boundaries.
Yeah, you don't want to do that on your wedding day.
That's right.
But yeah, I totally agree with that now. Like, because I don't know, I always kind of stubborn too, and I always thought like, oh, those people in the movies can do it. Like, why can't we? Like, no, this is reality. This is like just a thing. Like, you guys once had something. You guys don't hate each other, but you just move on and keep on with life. And with that, I want to go and close out with this. Z, what do you think is something that all couples right now, or I guess people single that's looking for a relationship, should know?
I think they need to know themselves. They need to know themselves thoroughly in and out, because if you don't, you're going to be running in circles. Or you get in a relationship and then you find out what are your unmet needs yourself. If you don't take care of those before you get in a relationship, it's going to come out in uglier ways. It's going to come out in jealousy. It's going to come out in resentment or even hatred towards your partner. And you don't want that. You want to enter a relationship for the healthiest reasons. And if you're good, then you have complementary, not supplementary. There's this old saying, in Spanish that says, my half orange, my other half, mi mitad naranja. But realistically, I don't know about you, but I don't want a half. I want a whole person, and I want them to complement me, not supplement me. So that is my biggest thing, knowing yourself and knowing what you bring to the table.
And what do you think is one of those healthy reasons on getting in a relationship?
So I think what you're asking is, how do we know we're there, or how do we know we're ready?
Exactly.
Yeah, how do you know you're ready? I think, personally, whatever it is you like to do with a partner, you're okay doing by yourself. And that's just utter happiness. That's fulfillment and contentment with yourself. So if you enjoy going to the movies, bowling, playing poker, fishing, golfing, whatever it might be, whatever activity, if you can do that on your own and find fulfillment, but it'd be even better with another person, you're there. You know that you can hold it down by yourself, and they are just icing on the cake. If you're whole, you're going to be whole wherever it is you go. An empty person is going to be empty no matter who they're with. You could be with the most amazing person, but if you're not right, it ain't gonna work out.
Well, appreciate it, Z. Thank you so much for taking this time to do this. I know it was last minute. We were all just like scrambling around. I was like getting my computer over here, like big ass iMac, carrying in my car. But yeah, hopefully we can continue doing this. And thank you so much, and appreciate all your knowledge and all the wisdom that you shared with us. And keep on doing your thing.
Thank you.